Ever found yourself clenching your jaw so tight it actually aches by the end of the day?
Mm.
Or maybe you woke up with that familiar churning knot in your stomach, even when you haven't eaten anything weird,
Oh, yeah, that's a common one.
right? Or maybe you're constantly battling headaches or just feel utterly exhausted even though it feels like you got enough sleep.
Mm-hmm.
If you've experienced any of these and kind of just shrug them off as, I don't know, quirks of your body, then buckle up because this deep dive is definitely for you.
Yeah.
We're talking about stress and how it isn't just a feeling, a mental state or something in your head. It is profoundly, undeniably physical.
That's such an important point to make right off the bat. Our bodies are, well, they're incredibly intelligent, constantly responding to everything around us and inside us.
Right.
When we're under pressure, feeling worried or just overwhelmed, the body doesn't just, sit idly by. It reacts, often in ways we don't immediately connect back to the mental or emotional strain we're feeling.
Exactly. It's like it keeps a kind of physical score. And for this deep dive, we've really gone through a stack of material to try and understand this connection better. We've looked at insights from health organizations, research on the whole mind-body link, detailed analyses of how stress hits specific systems like, say, digestion, and extensive guides on practical, natural ways to push back.
Right.
So our mission today is really to unpack why stress manifests physically, help you tune into the signals your own body might be sending, and hopefully arm you with some effective techniques you can start using pretty much right away.
Because understanding these physical signs, it isn't just about identifying a problem. It's really the first step towards empowering yourself to manage stress more effectively. And that improves both your physical and your mental well-being.
Okay, let's dive right in then. Stress. It's a word we throw around constantly, but what are we really talking about at its core?
Well, at its most fundamental level, stress is your body's built-in reaction system. It's a natural physical and mental response to any demand or challenge thrown its way. Think of it like your internal alarm system.
An alarm system.
And it's really crucial to remember, not all stress is bad. Short-term stress, what scientists often call acute stress, can actually be incredibly helpful.
Right, like needing to react fast.
Exactly. It's that surge of energy and focus that helps you react quickly in an emergency or, nail a presentation or meet a really tight deadline.
That jolt of adrenaline when a car suddenly cuts you off, or that, heightened focus right before you have to speak in public. That's the acute stress doing its job. Designed for survival, really.
Precisely. It's meant to be temporary. Once the challenge passes, your system is supposed to return to its baseline, its normal, calm state.
But that's not always what happens, is it?
No, the issue arises with what our sources often call distress. This is when stress becomes chronic, it's prolonged, it's severe, or it just feels overwhelming. It's essentially when that internal alarm system gets stuck in the on position.
It's stuck on. And the mechanism behind that alarm system, the one that translates all that mental or emotional pressure into actual physical reactions, is the famous fight or flight response, right?
Ah, yes. The sympathetic nervous system kicking into overdrive. It's a deep primal survival instinct hardwired into us from, forever.
Okay.
When your brain perceives a threat, and this could be actual physical danger or just a looming work crisis, it signals the adrenal glands to flood your bloodstream with stress hormones. The two key players here are adrenaline and cortisol.
Adrenaline and cortisol, the body's sort of emergency fuel and its long-term manager, in a way.
That's a good way to put it. Adrenaline gives you that immediate burst. It increases heart rate, ramps up blood pressure, boosts energy supplies right now. Cortisol, while it's also part of that initial surge, is more about sustaining that heightened state, making resources readily available over a slightly longer period.
And historically, this was all about survival.
Absolutely. This whole response prepared our ancestors to either vigorously fight off a predator or flee from it at top speed. Think about it. All physical systems were geared towards immediate, intense action. Muscles tense up, breathing quickens, senses sharpen.
Digestion slows down.
Right. Because who needs to digest lunch when there's a tiger potentially chasing you?
Makes sense. Your body prioritizes immediate survival over everything else in that moment. But like you said, in the modern world, those tigers are rarely actual physical threats anymore.
Exactly.
Their financial worries, their relationship issues, job pressures, the constant barrage of digital demands. And crucially, they don't just go away after a few minutes.
They don't. And that's the absolute core of the problem with chronic stress. Your body is still triggering this ancient fight or flight response for stressors that you can't physically fight or run away from.
You can't punch your mortgage payment or run away from your email inbox.
Precisely. You can't outrun a debt collector or scare away your email with a roar. So your system stays flooded with these really powerful hormones for extended periods, sometimes weeks, months, or even years. It's like constantly redlining your car's engine.
Wow, okay.
It's simply not sustainable, and that prolonged activation starts to take a really serious physical toll on the body.
Which brings us right back to the physical manifestations we started with. Because this constant state of high alert has to show up somewhere in the body, right?
It absolutely has to.
And it sounds like many people are walking around experiencing these symptoms without ever really connecting them back to the underlying stress.
They really are. I think we've become so accustomed, maybe even desensitized, to a certain baseline level of stress in modern life that we might normalize physical discomfort.
Or just blame it on getting older.
Exactly. Or assume it's just part of getting older, or maybe a sign of some other illness brewing, when often stress is a major contributing factor, if not the primary cause itself. Let's maybe dig into some of the most common physical symptoms our sources highlighted. Headaches are incredibly prevalent.
Definitely. Those tension headaches, the ones that feel like a tight band squeezing your head.
That's the classic description. And muscle tension, particularly in the neck and shoulders, frequently contributes to these. Plus, research noted in the material suggests that chronic stress can also ramp up the frequency and severity of migraines for people who are already prone to them.
And speaking of muscle tension, that's a huge one, isn't it? It's not just isolated to the neck and shoulders.
Oh, not at all. Stress causes muscles to tense up, often almost subconsciously, kind of bracing for action that never comes. This can lead to widespread aches and pains. Common spots are definitely the shoulders, neck, and back, but it also shows up as jaw clenching.
Like I mentioned at the start.
Yes, exactly. Jaw clenching, teeth grinding, which can cause serious dental problems and TMJ disorders over time. You might just find your muscles feel constantly tight, knotted up, or sore without any obvious injury or exertion.
The cardiovascular system also reacts pretty strongly to those stress hormones.
Absolutely. That immediate increase in heart rate is part of fight or flight, obviously. But under chronic stress, the heart is basically working harder all the time.
That can't be good long term.
No. It can lead to a persistently increased heart rate, sometimes chest pain, a feeling of tightness or heaviness in the chest, and even shortness of breath. Now, it's absolutely crucial, let me stress this, to get any chest symptoms checked by a medical professional immediately to rule out serious cardiac issues.
Of course.
But that being said, stress is a very well-documented contributor to these kinds of sensations.
Okay, it seems a bit counterintuitive, maybe, but fatigue is also listed as a major physical symptom. Stress is supposed to rev you up, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it leaves you feeling drained.
It does seem like a paradox, doesn't it? But living in that constant state of heightened alert is incredibly taxing on your body's resources. Your system is constantly mobilizing energy as if you were facing imminent physical danger, even when you're just sitting at your desk worrying.
So it's exhausting.
It's profoundly exhausting. This prolonged effort just depletes your reserves, leading to those overwhelming feelings of tiredness and fatigue. It really is burnout, but at a physiological level.
And then there's sleep. Such a classic vicious cycle with stress, isn't it? Stress makes it hard to sleep.
And not sleeping makes you much less resilient to stress.
Exactly.
It truly is. Stress hormones like cortisol, they naturally follow a daily rhythm. They're typically higher in the morning to help wake you up and lower at night to allow for rest and repair. Chronic stress can completely disrupt this rhythm. It can keep cortisol levels elevated in the evening, making it really difficult to fall asleep or stay asleep through the night. This leads to prolonged periods of poor sleep, insomnia, or simply feeling completely unrested even after what seems like a full night in bed.
Yeah, that tired but wired feeling.
Precisely. And our sources really highlight how much stress impacts our ability to wind down for bed, and conversely, how improving sleep is a major benefit you see from stress management techniques.
The digestive system seems to be another area where stress symptoms are incredibly common and often mistaken for something else entirely.
Oh, the gut is highly responsive to stress. The material we looked at details a huge array of potential issues, just general upset stomach, nausea, sometimes even vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, bloating, stomach cramps, gas, indigestion, loss of appetite. The list goes on.
A long list.
It is. One source even refers to the gut as the body's second brain, which I think is a fascinating and really apt way to think about it.
The second brain. Tell us a bit more about that connection. That sounds really interesting.
Well, it's linked to what's called the enteric nervous system. This is basically a complex network of about 100 million neurons that's more than in your spinal cord, lining your entire digestive tract.
Wow.
And this system communicates directly with the brain, your main brain, via the vagus nerve. Think of the vagus nerve as like a super highway carrying information back and forth constantly.
So that's why you get butterflies when you're nervous.
That's exactly why. It's also why sudden stress can trigger an urgent need to find a restroom. It's that direct communication link.
And it involves neurotransmitters too, not just nerves.
Yes, particularly serotonin. Now, we often think of serotonin as a brain chemical related to mood, right?
Right.
But actually, about 95% of the body's serotonin is found in the digestive tract. There, it helps regulate gut function, like muscle contractions and fluid secretion.
95%. That's amazing.
It is. And stress can really disrupt serotonin signaling in the gut. Lower levels might slow things down, leading to constipation, while higher levels can speed things way up, causing diarrhea. On top of that, stress can also reduce the production of essential stomach acid and digestive enzymes, which hinders the proper breakdown and movement of food through your system.
So it's absolutely not just a feeling in your gut. It's a real physiological disruption happening.
Absolutely real.
And I can see how that creates that vicious cycle you mentioned earlier, where the physical discomfort of gut issues just adds more stress to the whole situation.
It absolutely does. Worrying about stomach cramps or constantly scanning for the nearest restroom can become its own significant source of stress, just compounding the original problem. It's really a perfect and often quite miserable example of that mind-body connection creating a negative feedback loop.
Okay, so beyond these really common areas, the headaches, muscles, heart, energy levels, sleep, digestion, what other physical symptoms of stress should we maybe be aware of?
Well, stress significantly impacts the immune system too. Those chronic stress hormones, particularly cortisol, can actually suppress immune function over time.
Meaning you get sick more easily.
Exactly. It means you might find yourself catching colds or other infections more frequently, and maybe taking longer to recover from illnesses or even minor injuries. Your body's natural ability to defend itself is compromised.
And it also affects reproductive health for both men and women, which might not be an obvious connection for a lot of people.
That's true. It's often overlooked. But stress can impact the hormone levels involved in reproduction, potentially leading to decreased sexual desire or ability in both sexes.
Okay.
For women, chronic stress can disrupt menstrual cycles, make periods more painful, or even worsen the symptoms of menopause. In men, it can lower testosterone levels, impact sperm production, and may contribute to erectile dysfunction or impotence. These are real physical effects driven by hormonal imbalances that are caused by that chronic stress response.
Are there any other, maybe more subtle physical signs that might fly under the radar?
Yes, there are definitely others. Things like unexplained weight changes, either significant loss or gain, can be linked to stress hormones affecting appetite and metabolism. Dizziness is another one. And skin conditions like acne, psoriasis, or eczema often flare up noticeably under stress.
The skin connection.
Yes. Even hair loss can be linked to prolonged periods of high stress for some individuals. The body is really expressing that internal pressure in so many different physical ways.
So it's clear that while stress definitely has emotional symptoms like irritability or feeling overwhelmed, and cognitive symptoms like trouble concentrating, and even behavioral symptoms like withdrawing from people or maybe procrastinating more, the physical signs are often the most tangible, the most concrete indicators that something is really off balance internally.
Precisely. They are the body's way of waving a flag, signaling distress. And while they're uncomfortable in the short term, the real danger, the really serious concern, comes from chronic stress when these physical symptoms persist over long periods, becoming the norm rather than the exception.
Right. And that leads us to the really sobering part. What are the more serious long-term health consequences that are linked to this kind of chronic unmanaged stress? This is where the impact becomes truly significant, isn't it?
This is where that constant state of alert, that redlining we talked about, really starts to break down the system over time. Chronic stress is a known and significant risk factor for a whole range of serious health problems.
Like what specifically?
Well, the material we reviewed consistently connects it to a higher risk of cardiovascular diseases. We're talking high blood pressure, abnormal heart rhythms, heart attacks, and even stroke.
Wow.
Just think about the constant strain on the heart and blood vessels from having an elevated heart rate and higher blood pressure day in, day out, potentially for years. It takes a toll. Interestingly, one source did note that practicing relaxation techniques like progressive muscle relaxation, or PMR, has been shown to help improve systolic blood pressure over time.
So that suggests maybe some of this damage isn't inevitable. It can be mitigated.
That's the hopeful message, yes. It suggests we have some agency in pushing back against these effects, but the risk is real. So it's not just that stress feels like a heart issue sometimes in the moment, with chest tightness or palpitations.
It can actually contribute to developing those serious heart issues long term.
Exactly. And beyond cardiovascular health, chronic stress significantly increases the risk for mental health disorders, things like depression, anxiety disorders, substance use disorders, even some personality disorders are linked.
That connection seems strong.
Very strong. It can also lead to weight gain, particularly that stubborn abdominal fat, which is linked to metabolic syndrome and other issues, and it can negatively impact memory and overall cognitive function over time.
And it's really sobering, quite frankly, to see that one source even listed premature death as a potential risk associated with high levels of chronic stress.
It is sobering. It's a stark reminder that stress isn't just an inconvenience or a bad mood. It has serious mortality implications if it's left completely unmanaged over the long haul.
And it can make existing conditions worse, too.
Yes, absolutely. Chronic stress can act like fuel on the fire for a variety of existing conditions. Think asthma, emphysema, GERD, acid reflux, gastritis, inflammatory bowel diseases like ulcerative colitis and IBS, chronic migraines, TMJ disorder. The list goes on.
How does it do that?
It basically keeps the body in a state of low-grade inflammation and dysregulation. It makes existing vulnerabilities much more problematic. Plus, as we mentioned, your immune system remains weakened, which slows down recovery from anything and just generally makes you more susceptible to chronic conditions taking hold or flaring up.
That's a powerful and, frankly, a bit alarming list of consequences. It really highlights the urgency of recognizing these physical signals early on, which leads to a really critical question. When are these physical symptoms more than just, say, the occasional stress headache or a bit of muscle tension? When is it time to actually seek professional help?
That's a vital distinction to make. The sources we looked at are quite clear on this. If your physical stress symptoms are persistent, meaning they stick around day after day, week after week.
That's just temporary.
Right. If they significantly interfere with your daily life, your ability to work, your relationships, your general functioning, if they don't seem to improve even when you're trying healthy coping strategies, if you consistently feel overwhelmed, trapped, or experience excessive worry that you just can't seem to control, or if you suspect there might be a connection to a more serious mental health disorder, or perhaps trauma like PTSD, that's when it's definitely time to seek professional help.
And the best first step in that situation is usually talking to your primary care doctor.
Absolutely. It's really important to see your doctor first to get a thorough checkup and discuss your symptoms.
Why start there?
Because many physical symptoms of stress can also be symptoms of other underlying medical conditions. It's crucial to rule those out first. Your doctor can evaluate you, run necessary tests, and if stress is ultimately determined to be the primary factor, they can provide guidance, recommend resources, or refer you to mental health professionals like counselors or therapists who can offer more specialized support and targeted coping tools.
Okay, that makes sense. Rule out other physical causes first.
Yeah.
So we've covered the why, that fight or flight mechanism. We've covered the what, the incredibly wide range of physical symptoms, and the what if, the serious long-term consequences, and when to get help. Now for the empowering part. What can we actually do about it? What are the natural, practical coping methods that our sources offer up as a kind of toolkit against stress?
Yes, this is the proactive part. This is where you can actively engage and really push back against those physical manifestations of stress. And the good news is, the material we reviewed provides a wealth of really accessible techniques that you can integrate into your daily life. Let's start with perhaps the most fundamental, movement and taking care of your overall physical well-being.
Exercise probably comes top of mind for many people when they think about stress relief.
And for very good reason. Regular physical activity is incredibly effective. It helps rebalance your nervous system, literally helps burn off those excess stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. It increases circulation, and crucially, it releases endorphins.
The feel-good chemicals.
Exactly, those natural mood boosters that create a sense of well-being and can even act as mild pain relievers. And it doesn't have to be intense marathon running either. Even moderate activity, like a brisk 20-minute walk each day, can make a significant difference. The real key is consistency and finding activities you actually enjoy so you'll stick with them.
Like what?
Oh, anything. Walking, jogging, swimming, dancing, gardening, cycling, even energetic house cleaning counts.
Good to know. And supporting your body with good nutrition also makes sense, right? A stressed body probably needs good fuel.
Absolutely. A body that's well-nourished is simply better equipped to handle the physiological demands of stress. Prioritize balanced meals and try not to skip meals, especially breakfast. Focus on whole foods, plenty of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins.
And limit the junk.
Definitely try to limit processed foods and excessive sugar. Those can cause energy spikes and subsequent crashes that actually exacerbate feelings of stress and irritability. Staying well hydrated with plenty of water is also really important, and some sources suggest soothing herbal teas like chamomile or peppermint can be beneficial too.
What about the common temptation when stressed to reach for things like alcohol or caffeine?
Ah, yes, the quick fixes. The material we reviewed strongly advises limiting or ideally avoiding alcohol, nicotine, and excessive caffeine when you're feeling stressed.
Why is that? They seem to help temporarily.
Well, while they might offer a fleeting sense of relaxation in the case of alcohol or stimulation with caffeine and nicotine, they actually interfere with your body's natural stress responses in the long run. They can disrupt sleep significantly, worsen anxiety, and ultimately make stress harder to manage, quite apart from their other well-known negative health impacts.
Okay, so avoid those crutches. And we talked quite a bit about how stress just wreaks havoc on sleep, so actively working on improving sleep hygiene must be vital.
Absolutely critical. Aiming for that sweet spot of 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep per night for most adults is essential. Sleep is when your brain and body do most of their repair work and reset for the next day.
So if stress is keeping you awake,
Then, in addition to addressing the stress directly during the day, you need to practice good sleep hygiene. This means things like sticking to a consistent sleep schedule, going to bed, and waking up around the same time, even on weekends. Making sure your bedroom environment is conducive to sleep. Dark, quiet, and cool. And creating a relaxing pre-sleep routine. One source specifically suggested avoiding screens, phones, tablets, TVs for maybe an hour or two before bed, as the blue light can interfere with melatonin production.
good tips. Okay, let's move into some of the more direct relaxation and mind-body techniques. Meditation and yoga seem to be widely recommended tools.
Yes, these practices are incredibly powerful because they consciously engage the body's relaxation response. That's the parasympathetic nervous system, basically the opposite of fight or flight. They help actively lower your heart rate, reduce blood pressure, and slow down your breathing rate.
Does it have to be long sessions?
Not necessarily. Even short periods of mindful activity can be really beneficial. This could be listening to calming music, reading something enjoyable, spending quiet time in nature, pursuing a creative hobby, taking a warm bath, or simply connecting meaningfully with friends. Formal mindfulness courses can provide structured techniques, but simple acts work too.
And yoga specifically?
Yoga is particularly effective because it combines physical postures, controlled breathing exercises, and often meditation or relaxation elements. It really integrates the mind and body to help ease stress and anxiety. Hatha yoga, which is generally slower and gentler, is often recommended specifically for stress relief.
Deep breathing sounds almost deceptively simple, but the sources really emphasize its power, don't they?
It is simple, which is its beauty, but it's incredibly effective because it gives you direct conscious control over your nervous system. Shallow, rapid chest breathing is characteristic of the stress response. Slow, deep, diaphragmatic breathing, belly breathing, signals safety and calm to your brain.
How do you do it properly?
Well, one basic technique involves finding a comfortable position, maybe lying down with knees bent or sitting supported in a chair. You can close your eyes if that feels comfortable. Take a few normal breaths first. Then try to exhale completely, letting go of tension, maybe letting your shoulders drop. Then inhale slowly and deeply through your nose, feeling your belly rise or expand as you fill your lungs. Fully think about breathing all the way down into your diaphragm. You might mentally repeat a calming word like peace or calm as you inhale. Then exhale slowly and fully through your nose or mouth, letting your belly fall, and visualizing tension or stress leaving your body with the breath.
And just repeat that.
Yes, repeating this cycle for even just a few minutes, maybe 5 or 10, can significantly shift your physiological state from stressed to more relaxed. Sometimes placing a hand gently on your belly can help you focus on feeling the movement and ensure you're breathing deeply rather than just in your chest.
And there are variations on this, like something called breath focus.
Yes, breath focus adds a layer of visualization or mental framing. While you're doing the deep breathing, you actively imagine that the air you're breathing in is filled with calmness or peace or positive energy, and you feel it spreading through your body. Then, as you exhale slowly, you vividly visualize stress, tension, pain, or worry leaving your body with the breath.
Like breathing in the good, breathing out the bad.
Exactly. You can even pair this with silent phrases, like mentally saying, I breathe in peace and calm on the inhale, and I breathe out stress and tension on the exhale. Dedicating maybe 10 to 20 minutes to this practice can be very grounding and centering.
There's also equal time breathing.
Right. That technique focuses specifically on balancing the duration of your inhale and your exhale. It brings a kind of rhythmic quality to the breath. You might, for instance, breathe in slowly through your nose for a count of 5, and then breathe out slowly through your nose for that same count of 5.
So matching the length.
Precisely. As you get more comfortable, you might gradually increase the count, maybe to 6 or 7, finding a steady, even rhythm that feels calming and helps focus your mind away from racing thoughts or stressors.
Okay, and another technique mentioned is progressive muscle relaxation, or PMR. That sounds like it directly targets that physical tension we talked about earlier.
It does, and it's a very well-established and researched technique. It was actually developed way back in the 1920s. PMR involves systematically tensing and then consciously releasing different muscle groups throughout your entire body.
How does that help?
The process helps you become much more aware of where you habitually hold tension, often in places you don't even realize, like your shoulders or jaw. And then by contrasting the feeling of tension with the feeling of release, you learn to let go of that tension more effectively. The underlying principle is that physical relaxation promotes mental relaxation.
How do you actually do it? Walk us through the steps.
Sure. Typically, you'd start by getting comfortable, maybe lying down or sitting in a supportive chair. Take a few slow, deep breaths to begin settling in. Then you move through different muscle groups, usually in a set sequence, either starting from your feet and moving up or from your head moving down. Let's say you start with your feet. You would curl your toes and tense the muscles in your feet quite tightly, holding that tension for about 5 seconds while perhaps inhaling. Then you'd exhale and completely release that tension, letting your feet go limp and relaxed for maybe 10 to 20 seconds, really noticing the difference between the tension and the feeling of release.
And then move up the body.
Exactly. You'd continue this tense and release sequence systematically up your body: calves, thighs, buttocks, abdomen, chest, arms, hands, shoulders, neck, face tensing each group for about 5 seconds, then fully relaxing for 10-20 seconds before moving to the next.
What specific benefits does PMR offer, according to the research?
The sources we looked at noted several key benefits. PMR is recognized for reducing general anxiety and physical tension. It's been shown to significantly improve sleep quality, which is huge for stress management. Studies have found it effective in easing chronic pain conditions, particularly neck pain and low back pain. It can also help improve systolic blood pressure, decrease the frequency of migraine headaches, and reduce symptoms associated with TMJ disorder, like that jaw pain and stiffness.
So it has a pretty wide range of physical impacts, really, by targeting that stored muscular tension.
It really does.
And the sources also offered some tips for people getting started with PMR.
Yes, consistency is important, as with most of these techniques. Try to practice regularly, maybe for 15 to 20 minutes a day, especially when you're first learning. Find a quiet spot where you won't be interrupted. Wear loose, comfortable clothing. A key point is to remember to coordinate your breath. Generally, inhale as you tense the muscles and exhale as you release the tension. Don't hold your breath while tensing. It can actually be helpful to practice when you're already feeling relatively calm, just to learn the technique properly before trying to use it when you're highly stressed. And there are many guided recordings, smartphone apps, or therapists who can guide you through the process, which can make it much easier to learn the sequence and timing initially.
Imagery is another technique mentioned that seems to use the mind to induce a state of calm. How does that work?
This technique really harnesses the power of your imagination. It involves using your mind to engage your senses, sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, and mentally transport yourself to a place where you feel completely calm, safe, and relaxed.
So like a mental vacation.
Essentially, yes. After getting comfortable and maybe taking a few slow breaths to center yourself, you vividly imagine a place that you associate with peace and safety. This could be a real place you've been, like a beautiful beach, a quiet forest, a childhood memory, or even a place you create entirely in your own imagination.
What do you do once you're there?
You try to immerse yourself fully in the details using all your senses. What do you hear in this place? Birdsong, waves, silence. What does the air feel like on your skin? Warm sun, cool breeze. What colors dominate the scene? Are there any particular smells or tastes associated with it? Is anyone else there with you? Maybe someone who makes you feel cared for and safe? You just allow yourself to fully experience being in that peaceful place, feeling nurtured, secure, and calm.
And connect it back to the breath.
You can, yes. Similar to the breathing techniques, you might visualize breathing in the positive sensations of that place, the calm, the safety, the peace, and breathing out any physical discomfort, tension, or worry. It's about using your mind's power to shift your body's state.
And there was one more breathing technique mentioned that sounded a bit unique. Modified lion's breath.
Ah, yes, lion's breath. This one is a bit more active, more of an expressive release technique. You typically sit comfortably, inhale deeply through your nose, really filling your belly. Then you open your mouth wide, stretch your tongue out and down towards your chin, maybe open your eyes wide as well, and exhale forcefully with a distinct HA sound originating from your belly.
Like a lion roaring, sort of.
Exactly. It's intended to be a strong, audible release of pent-up tension or frustration. Repeating it a few times can actually feel quite cathartic and energizing for some people. It's definitely different from the quieter techniques.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of these sort of internal techniques focusing on breath, body awareness, visualization. What about connecting outwards? Does that help with physical stress too?
Oh, absolutely. Connecting with supportive people is a vital stress reliever. It's not just emotionally comforting, there's a physiological component too. Talking face-to-face or even voice-to-voice with someone you trust can actually trigger the release of oxytocin, a hormone that counteracts cortisol and promotes feelings of bonding and calm.
So lean on your network.
Yes, lean on friends, family members, neighbors, clergy, anyone you feel safe with and who is genuinely a good listener. Social contact offers perspective, provides emotional support, reminds you you're not alone, and simply helps you navigate life's inevitable ups and downs. Even small interactions matter, making time for a quick call with a friend, having a coffee break with a supportive colleague, or participating in a community group or activity.
And pets count too.
They certainly do. One source mentioned that spending time with a companion animal has been shown to reduce anxiety quite significantly for many people. And volunteering is another excellent way to connect with others. Find a sense of purpose outside your own concerns, which is also proven to be stress-reducing.
Carving out time for hobbies also seems important, like a way to connect back with yourself and find some simple enjoyment.
Absolutely essential, I'd say. Engaging in activities that you genuinely enjoy, purely for the pleasure of doing them, is such a powerful counterpoint to the demands and stresses of daily life.
What kind of hobbies?
Anything, really, whether it's gardening, reading, painting, playing a musical instrument, knitting, cooking, building models, whatever brings you joy and allows you to get absorbed in the moment. Research actually shows that dedicating time to enjoyable hobbies can reduce stress levels significantly and even lower your heart rate. It provides a crucial mental break and fosters a sense of accomplishment and satisfaction outside of your usual obligations.
And laughter. Is it really the best medicine for stress?
Well, it's certainly a very good one. Laughter has immediate positive physical effects. It actually increases your heart rate and blood pressure briefly, kind of like a mini workout, but then it results in a period of muscle relaxation and lowers them below your baseline.
Interesting.
It stimulates circulation and helps your muscles relax afterwards. And mentally, of course, it lightens your mood, helps you gain perspective, and just makes things feel less heavy. So actively seeking out humor, watching comedies, reading funny books or articles, spending time with friends who make you laugh, or even trying something like laughter yoga is a genuinely legitimate stress coping strategy.
Journaling is another technique that comes up frequently for overall well-being, and our sources specifically highlighted its benefits for stress relief, too.
Yes, journaling is a fantastic tool for externalizing and processing stress, getting it out of your head and onto paper, so to speak. Writing down your thoughts and feelings, especially difficult ones, can provide a much-needed release for pent-up emotions that might otherwise fester.
How else does it help?
It helps clarify confused thoughts and feelings. Seeing them written down can give you greater self-knowledge and insight into what your specific stressors are and how you typically react to them. It can also serve as a practical problem-solving tool, allowing you to explore different angles of an issue on paper. And importantly, by writing things down, you can sometimes interrupt those negative thought loops or patterns of rumination, helping you to maybe reframe distressing situations in a more constructive way.
And it can be particularly helpful, I think one source mentioned, for processing difficult or even traumatic experiences.
Yes, absolutely. For some people, writing about stressful or traumatic events in a structured, contained way can help them integrate the experience, make sense of it, and reduce the frequency or intensity of intrusive thoughts or flashbacks. It allows you to process the associated emotions in a safe, private space and perhaps move towards acceptance or understanding.
And it's not just for the tough stuff.
No, definitely not. Journaling can also be a powerful tool for focusing on the positive. For example, keeping a simple gratitude journal where you regularly list things you're thankful for, big or small, has been shown to shift your perspective towards resilience, resources, and overall positivity.
Are there actual physical benefits to journaling as well, or is it mostly mental and emotional?
This is where that mind-body connection really shines again. While stress activates the fight-or-flight system, the act of journaling, particularly reflective or emotional writing, can help activate the rest and digest state, the parasympathetic response. It can promote calm, help regulate breathing, slow heart rate, and lower blood pressure.
Really? Just from writing?
Yes, research cited in the sources indicates quite tangible health benefits for people who journal regularly about stressful experiences. Things like reporting fewer sick days, experiencing reductions in chronic pain, having decreased symptoms of inflammatory conditions like arthritis, showing markers of a stronger immune response, and even demonstrating improved ability to cope with ongoing illness. It's a really powerful demonstration of how processing emotions mentally can directly impact physical health outcomes.
That's fascinating. What are some different ways people can approach journaling if they're new to it or feel a bit intimidated?
The sources suggested several different approaches, recognizing that one size doesn't fit all. One is just free writing, basically putting pen to paper or fingers to keyboard and letting whatever comes to mind flow out without any judgment, rules about grammar or censorship. Using prompts like, "Today I'm feeling," or "What's weighing on me is," can help if you feel stuck. A gratitude journal is very straightforward. Just list maybe 3 to 5 things you're grateful for each day, or a few times a week. Emotional release journaling focuses specifically on exploring and writing about your emotional responses to events, processing the negative ones, but also maybe savoring the positive ones. And for those who feel stressed by disorganization or feeling overwhelmed by tasks, using a bullet journal or a planning-focused journal can actually reduce stress by helping organize thoughts, track goals, manage to-do lists, and create a sense of control.
And it doesn't have to be this perfect daily commitment, right?
Absolutely not. In fact, perfectionism about journaling can just become another source of stress. The key is flexibility. Even writing just a few times a week, or only when you're feeling particularly stressed or overwhelmed, can provide significant benefits. You can start and stop whenever you need to. The act of putting thoughts and feelings down is what matters most, not creating some kind of flawless literary record.
Is there a downside? Can journaling ever make things worse?
That's a fair question. One source did note that if someone only focuses on negative events and ruminates extensively on them without any attempt at processing, problem solving, or finding perspective, it could potentially increase distress for some individuals. A good way to counteract that is to intentionally try to end a journaling session focused on difficulties with a note about what you learned, potential solutions, sources of support, or even just something positive or hopeful, however small.
That makes sense, balancing it out. Okay, finally, setting boundaries and maybe seeking external support seem like crucial proactive steps as well.
Definitely. If you feel like your work-life balance is consistently off, you need to intentionally schedule non-work time. Time specifically for fun, for relaxation, for connecting with loved ones, or just for yourself. This might mean setting firm limits on checking work emails outside of hours or learning to say no to extra projects when your plate is already full.
Asserting yourself.
Exactly. Learning to assert yourself respectfully is key. That includes learning to say no, sometimes to requests that will genuinely overload you, and also learning to delegate tasks when possible, both at work and at home. Establishing healthy boundaries is fundamentally about respecting your own physical and emotional limits. Always saying yes just to keep the peace or avoid conflict often leads to internal resentment, burnout, and ultimately more stress. Your needs are valid and important.
Taking a vacation gets a specific mention too. Does it really help that much?
The sources suggest it really can. Even a short break from your usual environment and routines can help reset your stress tolerance levels, improve your overall perspective, and boost your mood and productivity when you return. It doesn't have to be some elaborate, expensive trip either. Even just a day or two spent relaxing at home, maybe intentionally disconnecting from technology if possible, can make a positive difference.
The staycation can count.
It absolutely can. And finally, if, despite trying many of these self-care methods, the stress still feels overwhelming, unmanageable, or is severely impacting your life,
Then it's time for professional help.
then seeking professional help from a qualified counselor, therapist, or psychologist is a very important and often necessary step. If negative thoughts, feelings of being trapped or hopeless persist, if you're consistently struggling to manage your daily responsibilities, or if these self-care strategies just don't feel like enough, a therapist can provide invaluable tools. They can help you identify the deeper root causes of your stress, develop new coping mechanisms tailored to you, and offer structured support as you navigate challenges.
And like we said, starting with your primary care doctor is a good pathway.
Yes, starting with your doctor to rule out other medical issues and potentially get referrals is always a sound approach.
Which brings us right back around reinforcing that critical point of listening carefully to your body and seeking professional medical advice first. If physical symptoms are severe, persistent, or concerning, just to make sure they aren't actually due to something other than stress.
Exactly. Many stress symptoms can mimic other, sometimes serious conditions, so getting a proper medical evaluation is always the responsible first step.
Wow. Okay, we have covered a tremendous amount of ground today.
Yeah.
We went from the sort of ancient evolutionary roots of the stress response all the way through to the incredibly varied ways it shows up physically in our modern lives, the serious long-term risks if it's unchecked, and, thankfully, a really comprehensive toolkit of natural, practical ways to cope, everything from breathing and relaxation techniques to movement, connection, and even journaling.
I think the key takeaways are really clear. First, stress has profound and incredibly diverse physical impacts. It's not just in your head. Second, becoming aware of your personal physical stress symptoms is absolutely crucial. You need to learn your body's signals. And third, the encouraging part. There's a wide array of accessible, natural techniques, many rooted deeply in that mind-body connection, that you can use to actively manage that stress and mitigate its effects.
It really underscores that idea that taking care of your mental and emotional state directly supports your physical health. And of course, taking care of your physical health supports your mental well-being. It's a two-way street.
Absolutely. And it's so important to remember that finding what works best for you is a personal journey. It might take some experimentation. It's okay to try different techniques and see what resonates most effectively with you and your lifestyle. And even small, consistent changes, you don't have to overhaul everything overnight, can add up to a really significant reduction in your overall stress levels and a marked improvement in your well-being over time.
Yeah, that's a great reminder. Don't try to do everything at once. Maybe I'd encourage you listening right now to pick just one or two techniques from the whole toolkit we discussed today, something that maybe sparked your interest or seemed doable, and just commit to trying it out consistently for, say, the next week. See how it feels. Notice what impact, if any, it has.
That's excellent advice. And maybe here's a final thought to leave you with, something to mull over. What if you shifted your perspective? What if you stopped viewing your physical stress symptoms, the headaches, the stomach issues, the fatigue, simply as annoying problems or signs that your body is somehow failing you? What if instead you chose to see them as intelligent messages? As vital signals from your body trying its best to get your attention, maybe guiding you towards necessary self-care or a need for more balance, or perhaps indicating that some change is needed in your life. What if truly listening to these physical sensations, instead of just ignoring them or trying to suppress them, is actually a pathway to deeper self-awareness, better self-care, and ultimately greater resilience?
That's a really powerful reframing. Seeing the symptoms not just as burdens, but potentially as guides. That's definitely something worth reflecting on. Thank you so much for sharing all this insight today. This has been incredibly informative.
My pleasure. And thank you all for listening. We genuinely hope this conversation empowers you to listen more closely to your own body and perhaps find a little more peace along the way.